Wuthering Heights, the chessboard of passion, revenge, and tragic love. In the game of Wuthering Heights, the chessboard becomes the stage for the violent, destructive passions of Heathcliff and Catherine Earnshaw. Their love and hatred, deeply intertwined, echo throughout the game as forces that move relentlessly toward tragedy. The struggle between love, revenge, and the ghosts of the past permeates every move. As the characters are bound by fate and their own emotions, this game mirrors the battle between personal desires and the consequences of their actions, where no victory is truly achieved, and the board itself becomes a metaphor for the desolate, windswept moors of Wuthering Heights. The opening, the birth of tragic love and conflict. The game begins with the innocent opening moves, reflecting the early stages of Catherine and Heathcliff's relationship, full of passionate love and connection but laced with a sense of doom. White Catherine opens with a bold move, pawn to e4, symbolizing her fiery, independent nature and desire for freedom. Black Heathcliff mirrors this with pawn to e5, representing his equal passion, his own stormy temperament, and the connection between the two. White's knight and f3 moves aggressively, symbolizing Catherine's restless energy and desire to break free from societal constraints. Black's knight nc6 reflects Heathcliff's dark intensity and his growing obsession with Catherine, preparing for a battle that goes beyond the chessboard. White's bishop bc4 moves to a strategic position, showing Catherine's inclination toward pursuing her desires, but with some degree of vulnerability. Black's bishop bc5 indicates Heathcliff's watchful, brooding nature, always keeping an eye on Catherine and waiting for the right moment to strike. The mid-game, the rising storm of obsession and revenge. As the game progresses, the chessboard becomes a battlefield reflecting the growing obsession and cruelty between Catherine and Heathcliff. Love morphs into something darker, and the emotional dynamics between the characters become more destructive. White's pawn d3 represents Catherine's hesitant recognition of the conflict between love and social expectation. Black's pawn d6 symbolizes Heathcliff's growing resentment and sense of entrapment, reflecting his internal fury at his perceived injustice and the loss of Catherine to Edgar. Both sides castle, symbolizing the characters' attempts to protect themselves emotionally and physically. While their passions continue to rage beneath the surface, Heathcliff and Catherine seem to seek stability, but the love and hatred between them ensure this is a temporary respite. White's knight nc3 represents Catherine's growing awareness of her limitations in the world. Black's knight f6 shows Heathcliff's deepening resolve, his readiness to pursue his obsession with Catherine and to reclaim what he believes is rightfully his. The conflict, revenge, betrayal, and emotional destruction. The game becomes increasingly intense, with each player maneuvering toward revenge and escalation. Heathcliff seeks to destroy those who stand in his way, while Catherine is torn between her desires and her social obligations. White's pawn h3 reflects Catherine's attempt at self-protection, trying to shield herself from the consequences of her own decisions. Black's pawn h6 symbolizes Heathcliff's growing determination to push Catherine back into his control, ensuring she cannot escape his influence. White's bishop bx f6 captures Black's knight, representing Catherine's choice to hurt Heathcliff emotionally, even as she is tied to him. Black's bishop bx f6 shows Heathcliff's willingness to destroy whatever he must to claim Catherine's heart and wreak havoc on her happiness. White's pawn h4 advances, indicating Catherine's desperation to gain control of the situation. Black's pawn h5 symbolizes Heathcliff's relentless pursuit of his goal, no matter how much destruction it causes. The endgame, the tragic conclusion. The game moves toward its inevitable conclusion, mirroring the tragic end of the story. The destructive forces of love and revenge collide, leading to a final clash where no true winner emerges, only ruin. White's queen qe2 represents Catherine's attempts to claim her own agency in the midst of a power struggle, but she remains powerless to stop Heathcliff's obsession. Black's queen qe7 represents Heathcliff's total control over his fate and his drive to impose his will on the world. White's bishop bc1 retreats, symbolizing Catherine's realization that she cannot escape the consequences of her decisions. Black's bishop bc6 reflects Heathcliff's growing dominance and the emotional devastation he is about to unleash. White's queen qh5 advances to deliver a powerful attack, symbolizing Catherine's efforts to reconcile her feelings, but also her destructive tendencies. Black's queen qf6 defends, representing Heathcliff's refusal to let go of his obsession and his desire to crush any opposition. White's bishop bx f6 captures Black's queen, representing the final breaking of the emotional connection between Catherine and Heathcliff. Black's bishop bx f6 shows Heathcliff's acceptance of the destruction, the tragic conclusion of his love and revenge. White's queen qg5 moves aggressively, symbolizing the attempt to reclaim what was lost, but black's queen qxg5 captures her, symbolizing Heathcliff's final revenge, taking everything that mattered to Catherine. White's bishop bxg5 captures black's bishop, representing Catherine's last desperate attempt to regain control, but she ultimately succumbs to Heathcliff's hold over her. Black's bishop bxg5 symbolizes Heathcliff's dominance over Catherine's emotional world. White's king kxg5 is forced to retreat, symbolizing Catherine's complete emotional collapse. Black's pawn kg4 represents the uncontrollable forces of Heathcliff's obsession, which overpower Catherine's attempts at redemption. White's queen qf4 attempts to make a final dramatic move, but black's pieces deliver checkmate, symbolizing the total destruction of Catherine and Heathcliff's love. They are both bound by their obsessions, and no escape is possible. The game ends in ruin, just as the story does with their tragic deaths.